Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Chief Rabbi. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Sir Jonathan Sachs.
Richard, Rabbi Abraham Israel, Lady Jacobowitz, Hazon Avrami, friends. Richard, thank you very much for those words, and I will keep practicing, I keep going, and eventually we'll get there. But may I thank, first of all, you and Josephine for your wonderful and generous hospitality here this evening. I cannot think of a more beautiful bar mitzvah present to have given James than to have allowed him to be a share in such a magnificent mitzvah of giving a bar mitzvah at the Kotel for those 16 young bar mitzvah boys who needed the help. And I have to tell you that James, to be able to think such thoughts, is going to bring great pride and blessing to the Jewish people. And therefore, Richard, Josephine, your home is not quite ready, and I hope we're helping to make it feel reasonably well used. We wish Josephine, Richard, you and James and Nicole every happiness and blessing here, and maybe it be the source of many mitzvahs and much pride to the Jewish people. Friends, the story of Rabbi Abraham Israel is just one of the most remarkable stories Elaine and I have ever encountered. Abraham, as you know, had to leave his home with his family in Egypt after the Suez campaign and the hostility there, and the family had to flee. And for 3 years, they had to stay in Paris, where they had very little to live on, and where, in fact, they were fed by a soup kitchen by the Jewish community there in Paris. They subsequently went to America, where Abraham studied and went into business and became a success. And many years later, he and his wife and their 7 children made Aliyah. Nothing had prepared Abraham for what he encountered there. Somebody who was quite destitute, had no food, no idea where food would come from, and was even more shocked to discover that there were many other families like that. And so he took on the mitzvah and set up a small soup kitchen, originally providing food for 17 families. But Abraham is one of those people for whom mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One good deed generates others. And I've never seen anyone so driven by the needs of others, so that original soup kitchen became a whole network of 63 distribution points throughout Israel, providing 400,000 meals every month. Elaine and I have been to one in Yerushalayim, where I think I will never quite recover from having to peel some potatoes. I really spent a whole lifetime of marriage trying to hide from Elaine the fact that I could peel potatoes. And we had such a moving encounter just a couple of months ago on my 60th birthday in Ashkelon, where we saw yet more of the wonderful work that Hazon Yeshaya does. But it's not only that. It cares for so many underprivileged children, for daycare centers, for Holocaust survivors, many of whom live in loneliness and indeed in poverty. Over 3,000 Holocaust survivors are supported by Hazon Yeshaya. There are free dental clinics. There are vocational training courses for people who've lost their jobs, or for single mothers or the unemployed, or people who just never had any training. There are daycare centers for underprivileged children. And as you've already heard, there are bar and bat mitzvah ceremonies for children in poverty or with special needs, and a clothing shop to provide clothing for those who simply can't afford it otherwise. And everything that Hazon Yeshaya does more than minister to people's physical needs. It addresses their psychological needs. It gives them dignity. Nobody ever need feel embarrassed or ashamed. It treats them as if they were honored guests. And I find that one of the most moving things of all. It is just celebrating its 10th anniversary. And it is extraordinary how something that began with such a small initial project has become one of the great charities, one of the great social programs in Israel, for which Rabbi Abraham was given a special award this year by the mayor of Yerushalayim. I never asked, where are you, Abraham? I lost you. I never asked you actually why you called it Hazon Yeshaya. I'm sure you'll tell us later on, okay? But I'm sure you know that Hazon Yeshaya, the vision of Isaiah, is that passage from the first chapter of the book of the prophet Isaiah, in which the prophet, will read it in 4 or 5 weeks' time, just before Tisha B'Av, where the prophet says in words so powerful that to be a Jew is not simply to come to shul in his day, to go to the temple. It is to care for the people who need care. Seek justice, he says. Help the oppressed. Look after the orphan. Plead the case of the widow. But there is one vision of Isaiah that just gets me, it moves me to tears every year. And we say it at the very climax of the holiest day of the year, on Yom Kippur. We read the Haftarah from the 58th chapter of Isaiah. And there we are, all feeling pretty good because we've had a fast. How many Jewish occasions do you know where there's no food? And there we are on Yom Kippur, feeling that we have done something very special. And suddenly, out of nowhere, come the words of this great prophet of 27 centuries ago, saying this: is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only for a person to humble himself? Is it only bowing, shockling, and lying on sackcloth and ashes? Is that what I want, says God? Halo paras l'ra'ev lachmech. What I want of you, says God, is to share your food with the hungry, to provide the poor wanderer with shelter. When you see the naked, clothe him, and don't turn away from your own flesh and blood. Az yivakash keshacha orecha. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, your healing will appear, your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of God will gather you in. That vision of Isaiah has driven Rabbi Abraham Israel in one of the greatest projects the state of Israel has ever known, to do exactly what the prophet asked, to share our food with the poor, our gifts with which God has blessed us with the needy. For that vision, Rabbi Israel, you will always be blessed, and may we help you to help so many and bring blessings to the people of Israel. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served now. I wish you all bon appetit.
But you're good at it.